My name is Dr. Tara O'Brien, and I'm an assistant professor at The Ohio State University College of Nursing. Today I'm going to be talking to you about developing an evidence-based practice or quality improvement poster. So our objectives are: 1, to explain the common elements of an academic evidence-based practice or quality improvement poster, and 2, to describe the best practices for formatting an evidence-based practice or quality improvement poster. So this is the template, or a common template that you might see that you could use to develop an evidence-based practice project or a QI project. So you'll see that there are approximately 4 to 5 columns with various headings that are similar to a manuscript. So here we see headings for the problem, the purpose, the objectives of the study. We have areas that will allow us to place our level of evidence. Perhaps our synthesis table, outcomes table could all be placed in this particular template. You also see that we have headings for summary of the evidence, planning, implementation, results, conclusions, implication for, this says for nursing education, but it could be for nursing practice, and a place for our references. So we're going to talk about each one of those sections in that poster template for best practices. So we will begin with the background. So in the background is often referred to as the introduction or the background, and you want to clearly and concisely describe the significance of the topic. You also want to make sure that you include in your poster the search for the evidence. So what was the PICO that you used? So those PICO terms help us to search the literature for the evidence. You also want to describe what's the purpose of the project and what are the objectives of the project. In the background, you want to include the theoretical or the evidence-based practice or quality improvement framework that helped you to implement your project. For the method section, you want to state the project design, state the setting, describe the sample, and describe the study procedures. Some of this may not be applicable depending on the type of project that you have completed. But you want to be as clear as you can so your reader or the viewer can follow your story. As far as methods, again, you just want to give a brief description of the data analysis, and again, provide enough of the data analysis to allow the reader or the viewer to be able to follow your approach. For the results section, you want to describe the findings clearly, and importantly, you want those findings, or the findings need to relate to the project objectives. For the conclusions are supported by the data presented. They explain the meaning of the findings and why the findings are significant. You also want to describe the future direction of the project, so what are the next steps, and describe the implications for nursing practice. So lastly, we're going to talk about formatting. So formatting is also very important to consider when you're developing your poster. Number 1, you want to know your audience. Try to write an active voice. Use short, clear sentences. Rule of thumb is 25 words or less. You want to minimize the use of jargon, scientific or technical terms, and acronyms. So these conferences that you'll be presenting your posters at, well, you will have many different types of perhaps disciplines, and they may not be familiar with the type of technical terms that you use to describe your project. And then importantly, you want to get feedback on your drafts from your colleagues, your supervisors, or at least one non-expert to your field. You can make use of graphics to explain complex information. Just be careful not to use too many graphics. Make use of white space. So white space is very important. We don't want the poster to be too cluttered. I have some font suggestions that are listed here for the title of the poster, the author names, the headings, the body text, and then figure captions. For font colors, usually the rule of thumb is no more than 3 different font colors. So lastly, we'll just look at an example of a couple of posters. Now these are research posters, but the main reason that I want you to look at these posters is if you look at the poster on the left, you can see that the poster, there's a lot of information there, very little white space. The font's difficult to read, there's a lot of pictures there. But if you look at the poster that's on the right-hand side, you'll see now that there's more white space, making it a lot easier to read. They're using about 3 different font colors, and you can clearly follow those headings that we talked about for the various columns with the introduction, the methods, the data analysis, the conclusions. And lastly, here are 3 references that you can use to help you to create your posters for different types of conferences. A lot of these do relate back to research posters, but the same principles often will apply as far as formatting goes. Okay, I wish you the best of luck on preparing your posters. Thank you.